This episode is brought to you by Circle. Circle is building a digital dollar that's backed one-to-one. It's where crypto meets stability, where local businesses meet global customers, and the US dollar meets USDC. Visit circle.com/Spotify.
Scott for Scott's here. Do you hear that? Bring the mic in close. That's not how the grass should sound. There's weeds everywhere in this lawn. It's time to take action with Scott's Turf Builder Triple Action. It gets 3 jobs done at once. Kills weeds, prevents crabgrass, and feeds your lawn so it keeps growing strong. Ah, much better.
Get a bag of Scott's Triple Action today. It's guaranteed, or your money back.
Feed your lawn. Feed it.
This is Optimal Startup Daily, episode 924. Signs of Imposter Syndrome and How It Holds You Back from Success, Part 2, by Rachael Kable of RachelKable.com. And welcome to Optimal Startup Daily. My name is Dan, and I'm your host and narrator here. And today is actually a continuation episode. We started this post yesterday. That would be the Tuesday show, number 923. And so if you're stumbling upon this episode, or maybe you're skipping around a little bit, I would recommend going back and checking out yesterday's first. But if you're all caught up, let's get right to part 2 now and continue optimizing your life. Signs of Imposter Syndrome and How It Holds You Back from Success, Part 2, by Rachael Kable of RachelKable.com. Sign 3, Sabotaging Your Success. When you start feeling a little too close to achieving something or experiencing success, do you often find a way to sabotage yourself? If you answered yes, I'm about to explain why that might be. Success can be too uncomfortable because you don't feel like you deserve it. So you act in ways that sabotage your success in order to remain safe and comfortable. Instead of progressing to the next level and potentially feeling even more like a fraud, you'd prefer to stay at your current level. So what does sabotaging success look like? Well, you might give up a hobby before you get, quote unquote, too good. You might avoid asking for a promotion or even turn down a promotion. You might deliberately procrastinate over an important task so it doesn't turn out as good as it could have. You might step back and let someone else take credit for your hard work. There are different ways you can sabotage your own success to avoid achieving new things and feeling more like an imposter. Sign 4. Attributing your success mostly to external things. When you're experiencing imposter syndrome and you achieve something, you might say, "Oh, I had so much help, I didn't really do that much." Or, "I only achieved my success because of good luck." Now, it's true that success can be the result of some good luck, and maybe you did have some help from other people along the way. However, you might attribute your success almost exclusively to those external factors, rather than recognizing your own efforts, skills, or knowledge. For example, when I was offered a book deal and people congratulated me, I said, "It was just lucky that a publisher was listening to my podcast and liked it enough to reach out to me." And that's what I honestly believed. I didn't consider the fact that I'd worked hard on creating a weekly podcast for several years, or that I researched how to create a good book proposal and spent many hours putting it together, or that I'd been writing articles for years and honing my writing skills. Instead, I described my success as being largely the result of luck. So, if you find yourself discrediting your achievements or attributing your success almost exclusively to external things, that could be imposter syndrome at work. And sign 5. Mistakes and failure cause distress. When you're already worried that you're a fraud, any mistakes or failures might seem like confirmation that you are indeed a fraud. So rather than making mistakes, learning from them, and moving forward, you're overly critical with yourself. You might try to keep your mistakes secret. You'll probably feel stressed, frustrated, or ashamed. And you might spend a whole lot of energy trying to make up for your mistakes unnecessarily. Note: this isn't an exhaustive list of signs of imposter syndrome. There are other ways that imposter syndrome can interfere with your life, and you won't necessarily experience all of the signs I've mentioned either. The main key sign of imposter syndrome is that you feel like an imposter or a fraud, even when there's evidence that says otherwise. How imposter syndrome holds you back from success. 1. Imposter syndrome undermines your confidence. When imposter syndrome occurs, it can negatively impact your confidence. You might worry that you're not good enough, compare yourself to others, and doubt your skills and strengths. The longer imposter syndrome continues, the more it can erode away your confidence and hold you back from achieving success. 2. imposter syndrome stops you from asking for help when you need it. One of the features of imposter syndrome is worrying that other people will find out you're a fraud. Instead of risking that, you might avoid asking for help and push yourself to hide mistakes or figure out everything on your own. This can be a very isolating experience, and it can also hold you back from achieving greater success. Sometimes it's important to ask for help and to work with others. And if you can't do those things, you might be more likely to quit or take much longer to get things done. 3. Imposter syndrome interferes with self-reassurance. Self-reassurance is the ability to be soothing, encouraging, and supportive to yourself, especially when you're facing setbacks. When you can't reassure yourself effectively, you might be more affected by negative thoughts about the future and become less likely to take action towards your goals. You might be more likely to quit when setbacks occur or beat yourself up unnecessarily. For example, imagine your goal is to leave your current job so you can work in a field you feel more passionate about. But when you find out that your first application for a new job is rejected, it triggers negative thoughts about yourself and your future. What if you're not good enough? What if you never get the right opportunity? What if you aren't as competent in your new job as you thought you'd be? And some of those concerns might be valid and worth exploring and understanding. However, if you can't reassure yourself, you probably won't have any balance between those negative thoughts and positive thoughts, and so you might be persuaded to give up in the face of the setback and corresponding negative thoughts. One of the problems with imposter syndrome is it tends to encourage those negative thoughts and interfere with self-reassurance, so you can't move on from mistakes and setbacks. And 4. Imposter syndrome could increase your risk of stress, anxiety, and depression. In 2019, researchers analyzed 62 studies on imposter syndrome with a total of 14,161 participants and concluded that imposter syndrome often occurred alongside depression and anxiety. Imposter syndrome was also associated with burnout, impaired job performance, and lower job satisfaction. All of these challenging experiences can potentially hinder success, especially if they continue to develop over time. You just listened to part 2 of the post titled Signs of Imposter Syndrome and How It Holds You Back from Success by Rachael Kable of RachelKable.com.
Did you know the Roanoke region in Virginia's Blue Ridge is home to over 1,000 miles of trails for hiking, biking, and paddling? That's right. There's still adventure out there. You can hike along the Appalachian Trail to the iconic McAfee Knob or enjoy beautiful views along the scenic Blue Ridge Parkway. Start planning your next Metro Mountain adventure today at visitvbr.com.
Check out Ian Munsick's new album, White Buffalo, available now. The album's all about the West, the lifestyles in the West, people in the West, and why Ian loved growing up there. Stream or purchase now at ianmunsick.com. That's IANMUNSICK.com.
And thanks again to Rachael for this post, both yesterday and today. One thing about her background that I didn't touch upon in the last episode, with a Bachelor of Psychological Science, certificate in Coaching and Counselling, and experience as a Helpline volunteer on the Anxiety Recovery Center, Rachael embarked on her blogging and podcasting journey in late 2015, hoping to share her personal stories and experiences with mindfulness, including how mindful living helped her manage stress and improve her well-being. Rachael's passion and knowledge attracted listeners and readers from all over the world. So for more of her content, definitely check out her site or tune into her podcast, which, as I mentioned yesterday, is called the Mindful Kind Podcast. And with that, we've reached the end of this 2-parter, so I do hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you back here tomorrow for more great content on entrepreneurship, and that is where your optimal life awaits.